Hello everyone, TheSkilledRoy here, back with a Dungeon Fighter Duel video. Now I know what you're thinking, what the hell is Dungeon Fighter Duel? Well, as we all wait for Project L, the Riot Games fighting game, there's been another upcoming fighting game that I've been incredibly excited for. This is of course Dungeon Fighter Duel. Now take the following with a grain of salt since there's no official confirmation on any information yet, but here we go. You see, DNF Duel is the latest game in production by Arc System Works, who of course are just coming off their incredible success with Guilty Gear Strive. Now if you remember a little while ago, they made another fighting game called Granblue Fantasy Versus, which of course was based on the hit mobile game Granblue Fantasy. Granblue Fantasy Versus was a really solid fighting game with some absolutely gorgeous visuals and some incredible music, but here's the thing. Arc System Works had to do a lot of work on their own to bring those characters to a fighting game because, well, Granblue, the original game, is a turn-based strategy game that's more of an RPG than anything close to a fighting game. But that is so much different for the game that DNF Duel is based on. You see, DNF Duel is an adaptation of the Dungeon and Fighter MMO, but as a 2D fighting game. The key difference is that Dungeon and Fighter is basically a fighting game already. One look at the PvP of that game just shows you how insane things can get. Now, as someone who's actually competed fairly regularly at the competitive levels of DNF's PvP, I've seen firsthand that this game has some of the flashiest, craziest, and most expressive combos I've ever seen in any fighting game ever. You see, this is one of the biggest reasons I'm hyped for DNF Duel. You see, in DNF, you have the ability to cancel your attacks into skills, into some other skills, into other skills. Basically, in fighting game terms, you effectively have free cancels all the time. This allows you to adjust your combos based on whichever stray hit you get, as well as create mix-ups and fake-outs out of literally nothing. Let's take, for example, the class Skirmisher, which is one of the Lancer subclasses. They have a basic combo that looks like this. But from any point in their combo, they can cancel it into a backdash to be more defensive. They can also leap into the air and throw their spear forward to catch retreating enemies, and they can also sweep out the enemy's legs and kick them into the air, allowing them to do a sort of air combo. And finally, of course, they have the ability to spin their spear forward, dealing even more solid damage. Now these are just some of the basic cancels that you have in the game. As you get to higher levels and get more skills, you have even more freedom as more and more skills give you more and more options. Now, of course, Dungeon and Fighter is a very different game than DNF Duel, but it's very likely that the cancel mechanic is coming back in some form. Because in the trailer, we actually see they make a big deal of showing the characters canceling from one move into another. You can see it thanks to this white flash that occurs suddenly each time the characters in DNF Duel decide to do one of their combos. You can actually see that the white flash is basically very close to the one you see in Dungeon and Fighter. This means that the combo game and neutral game will have a great deal of freedom and expression, which can certainly help make each of these characters really stand out. Speaking of which, man, the characters in Dungeon and Fighter are some of the coolest character designs I've ever had the pleasure of playing. Basically, when you start up the game, you get to choose one of 16 base classes. On top of that, each of these classes also have typically 4 to 5 subclasses that all dramatically change that initial base class. Now don't be fooled, just because they share the same base doesn't mean that these are like Ryu and Ken. In fact, each subclass changes their gameplay so substantially that the mechanics are completely different. Hell, even different genders for the same class play completely differently. So for example, in the trailer, we get to see Male Ranger, a quick-drawing, Dante-style character who relies on dual revolvers.
What the hell is this?
But a different male gunner class is the Male Launcher, who instead of using handguns, relies on a variety of heavy artillery. From laser rifles, to rocket launchers, to Gatling guns, this is the premier zoner for all of your needs. Or let's look instead to the Inquisitor, one of the female priest subclasses. As you can see, she wields a variety of fire magic and is topped off with an incredibly powerful great axe, swinging around a weapon basically as big as she is. However, if you want to go a little darker, we have the Demoness subclass, the Mistress. Armed with a great scythe, this version of the female priest uses a host of demonic magic, including a full-on install-style super that transforms her into a demon with all sorts of magic and powerful tools while she's in that transformation. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. We've got gun and sword wielding assassins. We've got magical witches who kill people with giant fly swatters. We've got priests who turn into prize winning boxers. We've got Aang from Avatar, Alucard from Hellsing, fucking Goku, and whatever your favorite JoJo character is, we basically have it. If there is a character archetype that you want, I almost guarantee that we have it. But of course, the last and final thing, the people involved with this game. Arc System Works, coming off the huge success of Guilty Gear Strive, is known to put a ton of polish into their games. But most importantly, with GG Strive doing so well, they now know how important it is for games to have rollback. Rollback netcode makes these games much better for online play and of course will help the overall health of these games, so I fully expect for them to put DNF Duel with rollback as well. But hey, not only is Arc System Works developing this game, but another dev that's also collaborating with them is Aiding, a developer team famous for their role in helping develop Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, one of the most widely celebrated tag fighters of our time. Or, if you're a fan of insane Kusoge fighting games, they're also the team behind the infamous Fate Unlimited Codes fighting game, one of the most insane fighting games I've had the pleasure of playing. And there you have it, with plenty of style, exciting mechanics and combos, and of course a stellar group of developers behind it, DNF Duel is looking like an outstanding fighting game as things move on. Best part is, we don't even have to wait for that much more information. At the end of the month, we have Tokyo Game Show, where ArcSys is confirmed to be showing up at. Here's hoping we'll have more information and more characters for then. Otherwise, that is all for me. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this sort of content, please let me know, because I know this topic is a little bit new for us here, so if it does well, I'd love to keep talking more about it. But otherwise, though, I'll be sure to give you all the coverage as this sort of game gets closer to the release. Anyways, everyone, I will see you all next time. Peace out.